evening. Welcome to the news at 7 on NTA International. We're live in Abuja. I'm Ruth Aguele. Let's start by bringing you the headlines. Federal Executive Council approves a new national policy on virtual engagements in federal public institutions. (2021) Appropriation Bill passes through second reading at the House of Representatives. And COVID-19, security and development takes center stage in ministerial meeting of African Union. A new national policy on virtual engagements in federal public institutions in the country has been approved by the federal government. The Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Dr. Isa Ali Ibrahim Bantami, announced this while briefing journalists shortly after the weekly meeting of the Federal Executive Council. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo has these details and all the resolutions from the high-level engagement.
President Muhammadu Buhari presided over the meeting held virtually for the 19th time in the new normal. The memo on the virtual engagement policy was jointly sponsored by the Federal Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy as well as Office of the Head of the Civil Service of the Federation.
Virtual engagements are becoming the new normal. It is because of this that we came up with a memo that will institutionalize virtual engagements in federal public institutions in order to make sure that even after COVID, virtual engagement is recognized by the federal government of Nigeria as a way of communication or a medium of communication.
Already, the National Information Technology Development Agency, NIDA, has been directed to come up with regulatory instruments that will set minimum standards and guidelines for such virtual engagements. NIDA is also to determine the categories of both the hard and software requirements as well as cyber security.
It saves costs, it saves time, and it also helps in improving transparency and fighting corruption.
We presented a memo for the supply, deployment, installation, testing, and commissioning of security equipment for the 7 railway stations, Idu, Rigasa, Jere, Kubwa, Kaduna and Kano.
The Federal Executive Council also approved $2 million as Nigeria's contribution to the 2020 budget of the West African Power Pool, a specialized agency of the Economic Community of West African States.
West African Power Pool is for the generation of electricity throughout the region, so as to have robust, constant, and steady power supply. It's just like a national grid we have here in Nigeria. Now we're going to have a regional grid.
This was created in 1999 by the authorities of the West African heads of state. And each member state contributes annually to the cost of power transmission across the pool.
The Federal Ministry of Works and Housing also secured approval to award contract for the reconstruction of the Apapa or Oroshokin or Jota Expressway, Section 2 and 8.1-kilometer Beachland interchange at 22.2 billion naira.
In 2018, the federal government approved an award of contract to Dangote Industries for the sum of 72 billion naira. But at the time the award was made, there was this section that was in fairly good condition. It now makes better sense to include that section which was fairly good so that when the other section is still strong, it doesn't start withering. This is one of the projects that's been awarded under the Infrastructure Tax Credit Scheme.
Contract for the dualization of the Kano-Maiduguri Road Section 1 has also been approved at 8 billion naira to bring the total contract sum of the 560-kilometer project at 63 billion naira. The Bureau of Public Procurement's memo on e-government procurement also scaled through.
E-government procurement has the potential of improving procurement process, eliminate corruption, and reduce the lead time in the procurement process. It also removes subjectivity from the process when it is eventually launched.
Quoting records obtained from the World Bank, the BPP Director General says apart from stimulating growth in their ICT industries, nation-states that have implemented the e-government procurement have also witnessed what he called exponential economic development. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
At the AU37 session, it is believed that Africa has an opportunity to reimagine a post-COVID-19 era and derive new ways of addressing the challenges of peace and security, socio-economic underdevelopment and poverty on the continent. Now, this resolution came up at the opening ceremony of the 37th Ordinary Session of the Executive Council of the African Union. Adebola Brookslyn Sunday brings us details.
The Council's meeting for the first time in about 3 decades is holding virtually due to coronavirus pandemic.
We must never be found in the position in which...
Chairperson of the Executive Council, Dr. Naledi Pandor of South Africa said the impact of the pandemic on lives and livelihoods of the African citizenry is a matter of great concern on the continent, especially as the world contends with the new normal and continues to navigate through the destruction caused by the pandemic.
Despite the awful impact of this virus on our continent, our ability to work together and develop an African response has revealed an amazing African resilience in unity that we should use for addressing all the challenges of our continent. And we should seize the opportunity to strengthen our systems and our public institutions to ensure we build the ability to withstand such emergencies in future.
For the chairperson of the African Union Commission, Musa Faki Mahamat, the health crisis exposed the weaknesses and amplified the fragilities of the continent, particularly exposing the inability of industries to produce goods and services crucial to saving lives, such as medicine, test kits, masks, and other essentials. The two-day ministerial meeting will also deliberate on progress and intensification of actions aimed at peace, security, development, and integration as articulated in Africa's Agenda 2063. Adebola Brookslyn Sunday, NTA News.
Well, the introduction of advocacy toolkit, as well as strengthening the capacity of stakeholders, especially the non-state actors, will help the entire country to respond optimally and responsibly to a pandemic just as COVID-19. Now, this was the main thrust at a webinar on strengthening advocacy capacity for epidemic readiness and response to COVID-19, put together by the Network for Health Equity, implemented by International Society of Media in Public Health and the Center for Health Sciences Training, Research and Development. Hamman Jabani tells us more.
It is believed that COVID-19 in Nigeria made an already weak, underfunded health system that could not cope in spite of efforts in infusing funds, expertise and materials into the response processes and government at all levels working to strengthen response to COVID-19 and promote citizens' awareness. The intervention is a multi-layer, data-driven advocacy effort to strengthen and bridge the coordination gaps between the federal and state governments, as well as between government and the citizens, to help the entire country respond optimally and responsibly, with each sector of the society playing its part, with the key goal of supporting national action of COVID-19 through integrated, streamlined effort by CSO networks.
Which required effective coordination, and that sector reform coalition, as a key actor, provided this platform to ensure effective coordination.
The media has a strategic role to play in all of this. The media must be equipped with knowledge to be able to speak truth to power, and beyond that, to also disseminate such health information.
How do we communicate with people? How do we integrate people? Integrate with people to ensure inclusiveness. Our human resources. These are issues that we need to address. For us to respond properly.
We should also create a process for learning that, learning of best practices and lessons learned from time past.
Stakeholders say the toolkit will provide public awareness on COVID-19, provide technical support for national response and advocacy for well-coordinated response to COVID-19, which can be achieved through the media, traditional rulers, and non-state actors that must be used across board. Hamman Jabani, NTA News.
And still on COVID-19, on the global scene, World Bank approves $12 billion for developing countries to secure COVID-19 vaccine, just as transmission figures continue to rise across Europe. Joyce Ametu brings us details.
The World Bank has approved $12 billion as funds for 118 developing countries to purchase and distribute coronavirus vaccines, tests and treatments. A statement from the bank says the funds, which is part of a larger $160 billion package, is aimed at supporting vaccination of up to 1 billion people. And as European governments fight to keep a second wave of COVID-19 infections under control, cases are still rising, even in countries that have had greater success than others in keeping transmission rates down. Germany recorded more than 5,000 new coronavirus infections in one day for the first time since April. And Russia witnessed an increase of 14,321 new cases and 239 new deaths in 24 hours. And in Northern Ireland, schools will close for 2 weeks and hospitality businesses will face tighter restrictions. It comes as Poland reported a record daily rise in cases, with doctors warning that the health system is becoming overwhelmed. Away from Europe, Israel has extended its second lockdown until midnight on Sunday, delaying the decision to reopen the country as infection rates remain high. In the meantime, Johns Hopkins University coronavirus tracker as at 6 p.m. revealed that there have been 38,477,818 COVID-19 cases worldwide, with 1,092,543 deaths. Confirmed cases on the African continent have risen to 1,604,566, with 38,681 fatalities. Now, recent data shows that Nigeria has witnessed 60,655 cases. Out of those infected, 52,006 have recovered, while 1,116 died. Lagos State, Nigeria's coronavirus epicenter, has now recorded more than 20,000 cases of the virus. And that's a global update on COVID-19. I am Joyce Ometu.
A look at the legislative scene now. The 2021 appropriation bill has once again provided a platform for Senate to review Nigeria's economic indices as the legislators re-echoed the need to reduce pressure on the oil sector. Ignatius Nkwo reports that the senators were also worried about revenue leakages and called for the introduction of a sophisticated system in checking the problem.
It's been 2 days of national debate on the floor of the Senate. The object of discussion is the 2021 budget of 13.08 trillion. Senators continued with the highlight of some pertinent issues that need consideration in the budget, such as introduction of a compact system that will check revenue leakages, improve non-oil sector, and encouragement of public-private partnership in funding capital projects.
We must have peace and indeed maintain the peace in the Niger Delta region before we can achieve this.
We will count on the usual support of Nigerian and stakeholders alike in the education sector in the country to contribute immensely in the actualization of the implementation of Budget 2021, and therefore it requires sufficient funding.
Of course, if we unlock the potentials
of our solid mineral, it will be a great advantage in diversification of our economy.
We can allow iron and steel complex to function, Mr. President. About 20,000 people will be employed by iron and steel complex in Ajakuta.
So any loan that is not used for such development infrastructurally that will stimulate the economy, I think, Mr. President, that loan is misdirected.
The budget is seen as a realistic financial projection.
In the overall, while the physical plan of the government mirrors the need to reflect the economy following the most devastating effect of COVID-19 pandemic, we think the 2021 budget is very, very optimistic.
But we need to do more to reduce wastages in our system in order to have money to execute our projects.
We, as a National Assembly, have to start looking into to see how we bring down this cost of running the government.
Personnel cost at over 33% is really way too high.
Implementing innovative financing strategies to pull in private sector investment. This is the only way to go.
Senators confirmed the nomination of Chukwuemeka Chukwu for appointment as Resident Electoral Commissioner of the Independent National Electoral Commission representing Abia State. From the National Assembly, Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
All right, let's go on a quick break. We'll be back. Stay tuned.
Start to like football on Top Go TV. So they him forget say in the best man for him party wedding. Amaka disappoint Bobo all because of football. Kola and the family supposed come out for them gas change plans because for this new football season, Go TV get correct football action will make sense. Get Go TV decoder will come with 1 month Go TV Max subscription for only 9,500 naira. Go TV.
Thanks for staying tuned. Let's continue with legislative affairs. In keeping true to its resolve of expenditures passage of the 2021 appropriation bill to sustain the January to December budget cycle, the House of Representatives has passed the bill for second reading after 2 days of extensive debate on the merits and demerits of the federal government's proposed expenditure for next year. Lami Ali reports on activities in the Green Chamber during plenary on Wednesday.
The business of the day commenced with the reading of a presidential communication by the Speaker, Femi Gbajabiamila, seeking consideration and passage of the Proceeds of Crime Recovery and Management Bill 2020 in furtherance of the anti-corruption drive. It seeks to address the problem of transparency, accountability and lack of credible records in the management of recovered funds by anti-corruption agencies and other institutions in Nigeria. The continuation of debate on the 2021 budget proposal dominated most parts of plenary as House members centered debates on economic diversification, infrastructure development, security, social inclusion, and improved provisions on social safety nets.
Agriculture, not only in Nigeria but in Africa in general, accounts for about 70% of our employment and accounts for a substantial part of our gross domestic product. It will also be a great achievement if we can put the defense budget on the first line chart.
I must commend Mr. President for the intervention policies, but it is also incumbent on us to monitor the intervention programs.
To critically look at this budget, raise questions, and whatever we put out there, we should be able to defend it.
The House called for quarterly release of budget performance by MDAs to the National Assembly for enhanced monitoring and evaluation.
It has to be even and equitable distribution of resources of the government.
The bill, after the second reading, was referred to House Committee on Appropriation. The second reading of the appropriation bill signals the next phase of legislative consideration of the budget documents, that is the appearance of ministries, departments and agencies of government before relevant committees for budget defense, a critical aspect of which is lobbying as MDAs seek allocation of additional funds to key areas. The Minister of Women Affairs blazed a trail as she had an engagement with the House Committee on Women Affairs and Social Development to solicit gender-sensitive budgeting.
It's only when budgets are examined from a deliberate gender perspective that such imbalances and gender sensitivity or sensitivity can be isolated and corrected. Gender-responsive budgeting also seeks to uplift the standard of living for the vulnerable members of our society.
Gender-responsive budgetary knowledge is part of the requisite skills we need as legislators and stakeholders in order for us to deliver good dividends to our people.
From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
Talking security, Chairman Caretaker, and sorry, let me take that again, that's not it. The Directorate of Defense Media Operations says the air component of Operation Hadarin Daji has destroyed another armed bandit camp and neutralized some of their fighters at a location near Ungwa Alikeri in Katsina State. A statement issued by the DMO coordinator, Major General John NHS, said this was achieved through airstrikes executed on 13 October 2020 following credible human intelligence reports and confirmatory surveillance missions. It said intelligence indicated that dozens of armed bandits had established a camp at the location and the air component dispatched Nigerian Air Force fighter jets and helicopter gunships which engaged the location in successive passes, destroying portions of the camp and neutralizing some of the bandits. Meanwhile, the armed forces of Nigeria says it will sustain the offensive against all enemies of the nation. Chairman, Caretaker and Extraordinary National Convention Planning Committee of the All Progressives Congress, Governor Mai Mala Buni, has again appealed to party faithful to withdraw all limitations before the next National Executive Committee meeting. Now, this forms part of the issues highlighted during a meeting between the Caretaker Committee and APC State Chairman at the party's National Secretariat in Abuja. Salihu Abdullahi will tell us more.
The 13-member Mai Mala Buni-led Caretaker Committee has a mandate to pilot the affairs of the APC for 6 months. Top on the agenda of the committee is to reconcile aggrieved members and organize a national convention within the period. Barely 4 months as Caretaker Chairman, Governor Mai Mala Buni solicits more support from the 36 state chairmen on current reform to update party membership registers at all levels.
The Caretaker Committee has embarked on massive conflict resolution in party across the 36 states and FCT. The responsibility is for you as every state chairman to commence the procedure for full sensitization and needed awareness for a successful membership registration exercise in the various states as we all wait for the final briefing from the Caretaker Management Committee.
Chairman, Forum of APC State Chairman Ali Bukari Dalori led others to pass a vote of confidence on the Governor Mai Mala Buni-led Caretaker Committee. In Abuja, Salihu Abdullahi, NTA News.
A look at bilateral ties. Belgium is promising to promote its bilateral ties with Nigeria beyond its usual area of strength evidence in its interest to partner across River State. Ambassador of Belgium to Nigeria, Daniel Bertrand, expressed his country's interest with the Cross River State Governor, Ben Ayade, during a visit to the governor in Calabar. Paul Abel reports.
Belgium, a modest actor in Nigeria's investment development, intends to diversify its interests in the country, and Cross River State is the destination. This is due to numerous potentials in Cross River State, even as the Belgian government promises to contribute immensely to the successful completion of the Bakassi Deep Sea Port project within the shortest possible time.
I also hope that Belgium will be able to contribute actively to this wonderful project.
I believe that the decision we will take will be in support of the immediate commencement of the construction of the Bakassi Deep Sea Port. Let me use this opportunity to thank the President for all the facilitated approvals for the Bakassi Deep Sea Port.
The Bakassi Deep Sea Port and the 275-kilometer superhighway are the signature projects of the present administration, attracting several international and local investors. In Calabar, Paul Abel, NTA News.
And next, a sports update with Ayodeji Makinde.
2 friendly matches